Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to puff him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
What's going on?
Amit must not be working. Damn it, Amit.
Jimmy Toscano. Damn it, Amit. Amit's pulling triple duty tonight. He's at the game.
So he's getting paid 3x. I'm Amit's agent. Yeah. He's getting paid 3x, right, Gelso? Where's Nick at?
Amit's payments are deferred.
Yeah. Until he moves out of
deferred.
Mass.
Yeah. It's good. By the time he's like on one of the Bobby Bonilla contracts. We're going to be paying him out for 30 years after he's done.
Yeah, I love that.
We can't afford him today.
Otani contract now.
There's basically Otani's got Amit's basically 3 guys. So I have to pay one version of him now, and I'll pay the next version of him after he leaves.
That's fair.
And on and
it's
on.
Like a pension.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome in the final Garden Report heading into the All-Star break as the Celtics take down the San Antonio Spurs 116-103 in a game that kind of felt like they had them at arm's length the whole time, right, Jimmy?
Absolutely. I got to say, a little disappointed in the Wemby. I was hoping for more.
That sucked.
I was hoping for more Wemby, man. But listen, at the same time, Celtics instilled their will, and I think that's a good way to put it. Kept them in arm's length. Spurs just couldn't shoot the ball. Ugly first half. Wemby. Speaking of Wemby, I know he was 0 for 5 at one point. I don't know what he finished with, and listen, Wemby's going to be okay. He's not a bust. It's just give the Celtics credit. They were able to kind of take him out of the game. Same with Fox. And
you know what the bummer about Wemby was?
Tell me.
The bummer about Wemby, we'll hear from Joe real quick, and we'll talk about Wemby after.
Start with Bobby.
Start with Bobby.
Joe, heading into the break, I think 8 wins.
Is Jalen captain?
Here. What do you feel like you guys have come along in recent weeks here, improved most going into the break?
Hey, there he is.
I think the biggest thing is just we've continued to look at wins and losses and find ways to get better regardless and stick to the process of what goes into winning and on a nightly basis and continuing to chip away at that. So we're going to keep that going.
And Torrey making his debut tonight, what did you see from him? And even in the Miami game and tonight,
also is Jalen captain
and walking him through some stuff.
Kind of somber
about
kind of conversations you guys having as the game goes on.
Yeah, he's got an important role just because of his versatility, right? So it's going to take time for him to understand the language and the things that we do on both ends of the floor. And you can watch as much film and walk through it, but until he's in the game, it's going to just continue to be a conversation of how we could utilize his versatility on both ends of the floor. So. He did some of that tonight, with his defensive versatility and then, making those 2 shots. So I'm just going to get him up to speed.
Joe, on that same note, with Torrey, what's the challenge there of working somebody in that can help, and he is versatile and can be important, but he is starting from behind, so there's teaching there, like, Is there a balance? Is there a level of playing him through, letting him play through mistakes, but also like where's the line of how many mistakes he can make before it's detrimental? You know what I'm getting at?
One, you got to rely on his experience. He's been around a long time. He's played a lot of basketball, and it's not rocket science. So I think it's just simplifying it as much as we can, but also utilizing the experience that he's had. He's done a lot of great things for good teams, and that's why we have him. And so we want to take advantage of that. At the same time, have an understanding of how versatile he can be for us. And every team, that you're a part of, you play a different role. And so his role is important in some of the stuff that we're able to do. And he's been great as far as understanding that, even during the games, asking questions and during film sessions. So everyone's going to make mistakes. Even the guys that have been here for, in our system have made mistakes. It's, to me, goes back to the mistakes with effort versus the mistakes in non-effort. And so, he's been the player for a long time who's, played through mistakes and is a high-energy, high-physical guy.
And as far as tonight, it seemed like you guys are really putting in a lot of effort on the rebounding end, only 6 second chance points for them. And it seems like recently that when you guys have been rebounding well, that's really led to some big runs for you guys.
Yeah, our first shot defense is really good, and our defensive shot quality on the first shot defense is high level. And to me, it's just those margins, right? It's those the rebounding on both ends of the floor are what leads to the runs. Give a guy extra shots. And so we just have to continue to work on those things, that lead to building runs and stopping runs. And to me, that's part of the process of winning.
Joe, Wembanyama is obviously a very unique defender, just purely in his ability to cover a lot of ground with his wingspan. When you're game planning for going up against him, how much are you relying on maybe adjusting what you guys do in offense versus just the reads of your players like in the middle of the game?
I mean, we're always doing that regardless. All teams have different strengths and versatilities defensively, so we're very fortunate that we have two guys that could, two centers that can shoot on the perimeter, and so it allows us to be a little bit more, versatile and creative in what we're able to do. But every game presents different puzzles, and we just have to continue to solve those, and they change within the game. And I think that's sometimes where we go through some phases of the game where we're not sharp, is we're figuring out what that puzzle is at that particular time, because teams are doing a good job of working to put us in those situations. So we just got to continue to get better at that.
There were a couple times tonight, obviously, Jason read Wemby coming up on the screen there. Drove, got a dunk. Kristaps had a few pump fakes down there, managed to hit a hook shot. What did you see in this game specifically adjusting to that length that he presented?
I mean, again, it's just about our spacing and our rim reads, whatever the right decision is at that particular time, making sure we're intentional about the proper spacing, making sure we're intentional about making the right 2-on-1 read, wherever that may be, regardless of who's out there.
You guys have held your opponents to under 25 points in 7 of your last 12 quarters, had 2 of them tonight. What have you liked most about what you guys are doing on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, those things, that number is a process of going into limiting teams to one shot, getting back in transition, keeping guys off the free throw line, taking away tendencies. And so what that shows is a disciplined approach towards the margins, the things that go into winning, and the details. And so, we have to continue to do that. You see a difference between quarter 1, quarter 4, and quarter 3, right? Where the beginning of the third quarter, we had like 5 or 6 turnovers, and they have 8 points in transition before we know it. So just got to continue to work through those things.
Joe. So, talking about Al Horford and his
Yeah, we're all
Okay.
right. We're all right. So this is the apparently it's the Torrey Craig game in terms of the primary interest here.
Took 2 shots, made both shots. Yay!
Yeah.
Thanks.
What's up, Sherrod?
What's up, Jimmy? What's up, John? What's up, Torrey Craig?
Looking good, man. You get that. You get that. Hey, I should also say this, John. We should congratulate Sherrod. His team, his Eagles flew. His team won the Super Bowl. He didn't make it on Monday's show. He was probably hungover from the Super Bowl celebration. That's okay.
Jimmy, I don't want to talk about the Eagles. I want to talk about Torrey Craig.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
Can we just talk about Torrey Craig? Can't we, Jimmy? Can we just talk about
Yeah, we
the
can.
Mary
I don't want to
Howard?
talk about the Eagles either. But I had to give you your flowers because
Appreciate that.
I respect you.
This was an interesting game. It never was in doubt, and yet at the same time, it felt like they should have won by more. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me projecting what I feel. But it feels like this felt like this should have been like a 20-point win. I don't know.
They took a little time off, I think, in the second half. They went up 20. What? Oh, Andy's gone. They went up 20 in the first half. And I thought Tatum had an unbelievable, not a hot take, he had an unbelievable first quarter. I watched it back. And Scal said it, kind of stole my thunder, but I've been saying it the last few games I've been on the show. Yeah. Tatum's kind of playing like the most complete basketball of his career, I would say. Arguably the best basketball of his career. Just the way, John, that he's kind of seeing the floor, kind of dictating what the opposition is doing, passing out of double teams, finding the open guy. Had a couple of great passes there in that first quarter that stick out. The last one, obviously, everyone remembers, to Al. And he's like a little flashy out there, but I said it last show. The game looks slower to him. It feels like he's in control out there. And tonight was another example of that, specifically in the first half. As far as the Celtics not winning by 20, I get it. They could have probably pulled away a little bit more, Sherrod, but they were able to pretty much make Wemby look human tonight. And on one hand, you kind of want to see, when a guy like that comes into town, you kind of want to see him do something great. A couple plays here and there, but otherwise, for a guy who's 7'6", largely ineffective. And, got to credit Porzingis. Porzingis came ready to play tonight. This was a matchup that Porzingis had circled on his calendar. on both ends, and he had his hands full. I mean, you look at the box score. It wasn't like Wemby didn't do anything tonight, but I thought that they were able to contain him. He was cold from three, but I got to give an extra hat tip to Porzingis. Some fancy footwork going on. You could tell Porzingis wanted to show that it's not Wemby's league just yet.
True.
I want to circle back to Wemby because I started there, Jimmy, and I think that you started the point, and I want to talk about it. But the Tatum thing, I think, is probably more relevant just to what we're talking about here. I agree. It looks easy, right? And again, this is where we're doing this in the chat. I'm not doing it. The better without JB, trade JB stuff, and this and that.
I'm not doing it.
When there's the good and the bad of the ball being in his hands. You don't want this heliocentric offense, all just around the one guy. You don't want to be the way the Mavs were with Luka, and it's just one guy has it and controls everything. That being said, when Tatum gets to be that guy, I feel like he does do more of that, where he's in control. He sees the doubles coming. He passes out of it quickly. Mm-hmm. He's just too friggin' in love with the three. If he just took a couple fewer per game and worked to get to his spots and to find his shot and maybe to embrace. I'm not saying, give up threes from middies, boomer take. I'm not saying that, but just a diversified scoring portfolio of working a little harder for the shots instead of settling, because a lot of them is settling. Like, let's see if this goes, because if it does, fucking great. And he had a couple go down early, and then he fell in love with them. That's the only downside to it, is then you live and you die by whatever his kind of whims are on that particular game. And sometimes they can end up being too much chucking. But in terms of control, you're right, Jimmy. Like, he's in control. He's not playing sloppy or kind of forcing the issue. He's drawing fouls. He's getting to where he wants to go. If I could just eliminate a few of those, let me just take this three and see if it goes type of threes, it's very like MVP-ish sort of basketball that you're seeing from him here. And whether that coincides with having fewer mouths, we talked about it the last game, the fewer mouths to feed. And, not having to worry about not disappearing or not coming out at the 6-minute mark, because, that's the rotation, and you let JB cook in the first. And then sometimes you get nothing from Tatum until the second half, blah, blah, blah. He got into it early. He had 14 points in the first quarter. He looked terrific.
How much of that is Missoula telling him and encouraging him to take more threes? Is that not it? Sherrod's shaking his head. No.
This is a fair point. Like, the Celtics need JB. This notion that JB going away, makes them better is stupid. The notion that maybe if you traded him in before or down the road, are you better or worse? Nobody knows. But it's not like you're not eliminating an all-star.
It's not addition by subtraction.
Yeah, that's stupid. Nobody thinks that. And that's the point. Tatum gets to flow the way he's going to play, but ultimately Tatum and Brown need to need to coexist at the highest level, like they did for periods of time last year and in the playoffs, for them to reach the pinnacle. There's no question about it. Obviously that's the case. So they need each other. They need to both play well, but you're right. You do see a freer, more unencumbered Tatum when he's out.
Yeah, but the same argument can be made about Jaylen Brown, that he's better when there's no Tatum around.
There's no question.
But that's to me what makes this tandem have such tremendous potential, and why they're the defending champions, because they individually are really good players. And when they have those nights where they're on the same page and they're flowing, they become great. But there's still, and again, they're the champions, and give them the props for that. But there still feels to be a lot of, here's the baton, you take it. Okay, let me run for a little bit. Okay, it's your turn to take it. There seems to be still this baton passing that they tend to get into. And obviously when neither one of them, when one of them is not around and the other is, then it just becomes a flat out sprint, which they individually are very good at. Jimmy, you're muted.
I said facts, my dog. I feel the same way as both of you guys. It's not about, look at how, good the Celtics are when Jalen's not. Last year, they were able to win regardless of who was off on the court. It didn't matter if it was Jalen, didn't matter if it was Tatum, it didn't matter if it was White, whoever. Porzingis obviously missed a lot of games. They're not better with these guys out. They're just different. And they can win in many different ways because of all the talent they have on this team. It doesn't mean that they're better. They're not better. But yeah, listen, there's only one basketball, Sherrod. So when you've got two guys who are all-stars on the team, they're going to, command the ball, and that's going to take it away from the other guy. When one's sitting out for whatever reason, of course, that gives the other one the green light to, have the ball more, take a little bit more initiative, be aggressive. Those are all the things you want, by the way. You want, whether it's Tatum out there and Jalen's out, and Jalen's, sitting out the game, or whether it's Jalen out there on the court and Tatum sitting out. You want either one of those guys to be the clear number one option on the team. And that's what Tatum is right now with Jaylen Brown being out. And by the way, we've seen Jaylen Brown go off, quote unquote, when he's just, when Tatum's sitting out a game for whatever reason. Doesn't happen a lot because Tatum plays a lot. But when there's limited minutes or when Tatum does take a seat and it's just Brown out there, we know what Brown's capable of. So I agree with you guys. The notion that they're better without Brown is obviously silly. And, I get it. I think half of it's tongue in cheek, and I'm there with you guys for that. I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't, when I lift up Tatum, it's not to drag down Brown. I'm just making the point that right now Tatum is playing unbelievable all around basketball. And what really stands out to me is his ability to see the court. It's not the shooting, obviously, 4-14 from 9 from 3. That's probably, and all this talk about, Tatum shooting coach and blah, 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 and all this stuff. For me, it's not even the shooting that's impressed me with Tatum. It's the decision-making out there. Mm-hmm. It's the passing. It's the rebounding. It's the, making the smart play, dribbling or passing out of double teams, kind of toying with the opposing team and like getting them to do exactly what you want them to do so that you can go make the open pass or whatever it is. That's what's impressing me with Tatum right now. And yeah, when Jaylen Brown's out there, the ball could be in his hands. And obviously at that point, he's not able to make those decisions. So it's more obvious when one of them's out there. That doesn't mean that the other one is detrimental to the team.
Yeah. And look, it's not a conversation for now, but be prepared for it in the offseason, whether you want to be or not. That's all I'm saying. There's an economic reality that the Celtics are facing that's going to result in something. But Brad's proven over the years, he's always wanted to be Tatum and Brown, and then let me figure everything else out around it. And that might very well still be his mind. And these guys could be here for the next 10 years, and that's that. And you're rotating pieces around them. But there's another world in which this is a real conversation that's being had. It's not a conversation for today. Because again, we saw it work last year. I've always thought it's a bit of an ill fit. It is what it is. I've never loved the two wing players being the two best players. I don't think it's great. You always want to see it happen in, the point guard and the big or the blah, 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 a little bit if it's going to be the two alpha type guys. But again, you've got Porzingis, who's an alpha, playing a different position as well. You got a lot of alpha type guys on this team. So they're at their best when everybody's involved and everybody's doing their thing. They did it last year to perfection. And right now, the bigger story is, in general, a lot of the icky stuff that we were living through for that 6-week stretch, I wouldn't say is gone, but it doesn't feel as relevant now.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they definitely seem to have, they may not have, found a new mile marker to go past, but they've definitely turned a corner. And Tatum obviously has a lot to do with that. And, I think part of it is some of the guys that have been role players are just getting healthier. I mean, Sam Hauser didn't shoot the lights out, but he looks a lot better out there now than he did like a month ago. And his ability to not necessarily score, but just be a threat to score makes this team so much better. And Derek White, we saw for the first time where he really wasn't that wild card X factor in a positive way, and he seems to have turned his game around like the last few weeks. So they're starting to get guys trending in the right direction as they hit this All-Star break. And they're only they're 3 games off the pace that they were on last year, and we talked about how amazingly awesome they were last year. And they're right there. They're right there.
I would like to quickly point out, because I don't want the chat to tear itself apart. Guys, we're not banning people for just having a different opinion than you. If there's people here who want to trade Jaylen Brown, that's fine. They're not being mean. They're not saying offensive things. Just respect the difference of opinion and just let it ride, okay? It's not a big deal. Everyone's not going to feel exactly
We
the
will
same way.
ban for spam, though. Do not
I'll
spam the chat.
I will ban for spam. Yes.
Ban for spam.
I will. Yes. Ban for spam.
That sounds like a green eggs and ham line right
Yep.
there.
Do
But
not.
you're gonna be
You can make a point. Just do not control paste or whatever the hell it is.
We're
Copy
not
paste.
banning Manila. We're not banning Derek. I'm not banning Jason Tatum or Luke for the love of God. Okay. It's all fine. Everybody is cool right now. Actually, you guys are remarkably civil throughout most of this. There's almost never
because they're winning
in the chat. No, it's just a good group. It's a good group. These guys don't get friggin' all worked up. We're good. Everybody's good,
see a
Jimmy.
couple. Where's Judah tonight? Where's Judah tonight?
Judah's good, man. Are you kidding?
Yeah, because they won.
Nah, Judah's always good.
No, Judah's good, but sometimes he can be mean to me.
They can all be mean
to you.
I can take it. I can take it. Yeah, I call the
take it.
YouTube comments. Yeah, I call them.
No, everybody's good. Everybody's good. I like this
Shout
chat.
out Matthew Marat. Shout out.
Yeah.
Can I be
what am I waiting
banned?
for?
Nice. Man.
Oh, I needed something here. You guys
look
talk.
it. We got a super chat. He had to donate to check if he was banned. No, confirmed. Not
Do it again. Do it again.
confirmed. You are not. Guys, by the way, if you want to check to see if you're banned, super chat's a good way to do that. That is a definite way to check. Make sure you're not banned because we won't see it if you are.
The only thing that gets you banned is
Jimmy.
Yeah. Insulting each other or people on the show. No, there won't be any of that or anything, any racism, any sexism, anything intolerant won't be tolerated. Other than that, disagree all you want. Trade JB, free Luigi. I don't care what you say. Okay, we're all good. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Here we go. Let's start this movement. Ban Jimmy.
Ban Jimmy. I would do that.
Yeah. Wow. Nah, you can't. You can't. As the captain, you cannot ban me.
No. We cannot. Anyway, real quick, we're going to tell you guys while we do wait here for Bobby and Noah to join the show. Also, we got some locker room sound. Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, the big game is gone, but Prize Picks rolls on. #1 fantasy sports app, the official partner to the CLNS Media Network. And yeah, get in on the action. You got All-Star Weekend, All-Star Saturday with the NBA. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can look into here. Pick more or less. There it is. Less, more, ding, ding. On 2 or more players, whatever stats you have, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Run your game, as it says. Download that app. Play 5, get 50 instantly in your account. You do not have to win. Again, super easy, super fun. Play 5, get 50 instantly when you download the Prize Picks app and use the code CLNS. Once again, Prize Picks, run your game. All right, getting back to it. With this game tonight, and yeah, I think it's.
By the way, real quick, the All-Star game is becoming a joke every more and more every day, but that's this topic for another discussion.
The All-Star game has jumped so many sharks.
The shark.
I don't even know what's left. Like they jumped.
The only thing that's left is
shark, the seal, the sea lion. They jumped everything.
The otter, you name it. Yeah,
dude, it's like one shark away from the N1 mixtape tour. Like it's very, very close to that.
I want to ask.
There's
I
an
want to
MC,
ask.
like we're just missing like the professor, and I think we're there.
I want to ask the chat, not Boomer Sherrod, because he should know this. I don't even know if Jimmy knows it. The origin of Jump the Shark. Do you guys know? First of all, do you guys know?
I don't know. Jump the Shark. Has it something to do with Jaws?
No. I want to know if the chat knows. It's an old school
somebody's
reference.
Googling it for sure.
Don't Google, guys. That's cheating.
Oh, somebody got it.
Yes, it was the Fonz. We're talking 1970 something.
Okay.
Fonz actually jumped the shark on his bike.
Okay.
It was Happy Days.
Faintly remember that. Happy. Yeah.
Very good, chat.
Nick at Night. I watched Nick at Night when I was a kid.
Yeah, thank you for the olds. It was friggin'
totally
Henry
forgot
Winkler,
about
who's
that.
so funny for anybody who watches Barry or anything else that Henry Winkler's been on, Waterboy or any of his comedic appearances, of this kind of like funny, older guy. He was in the show the coolest guy on the planet, Henry Winkler,
Leather
wearing a leather
coats
jacket.
every single day.
Still
They're
kinda
real
cool.
nice leather jackets. Yeah.
It is kind of
The
funny seeing
Fonz.
him now and looking back and remembering what the Fonz was like. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, it is good time. So this is where I was going to go before I started talking about Fonzie. Water skis, not a motorcycle. He jumped an actual shark. He jumped a shark.
Rain Cowger. Love it. Rain.
Yeah. Water skis wearing a leather jacket.
Love that name. Rain.
He jumped a shark.
Jumped a
Height of
shark.
cool. It's the coolest thing you could do. Jump a shark in a leather jacket. But yeah, that was it. So what did we think of Torrey Craig? I think this is the Torrey Craig game. And here's the thing. I think it's great.
By
First
default.
of all, I'm annoyed he only got 9 minutes. You were comfortably in this game. There's no reason you didn't rotate him in for 15 minutes or more. No reason.
I thought he was going to get more minutes because they put it in the first quarter. And I'm
For the
thinking that,
first
okay,
quarter,
maybe
and he played 6 minutes in his first stint. Yeah, and 3 the rest of the way. That makes no sense to me. And he knocked down shots. And Joe Mazzulla was asked about it and said, what's he going to do to gain minutes? And are you trying to ease him in? I'll tell you this. If you knock down shots, you have automatic minutes. Like, that's the point. Like, why did the other guys not get them? Because they were fucking up the offense. Like, but Xavier Tillman, until they made him shoot a million corner threes just to the point that he could, if he needed to, he was useless last year. You just couldn't really work him in. Jaden Springer never got to the point that you felt good about it because he can't shoot. If Craig can shoot, there's minutes for him. If Craig can shoot and defend, of course, and defend ably, there's legit minutes there for him. This isn't fluky. I mean, you have a good opportunity here with a guard and a wing out where there's an opening, and Hauser's in the starting lineup. You really don't have anything. But is there any reason he doesn't get any potential Jordan Walsh minutes that you might have considered given to him the rest of the way? Zero. There's zero reason to not give Torrey Craig a look and see what he can do.
He's already, in my opinion, I've seen enough. He's already jumped all those guys. All those guys that you think
I've seen enough.
We're in the running. He's already jumped them. And Joe, first chance Joe got health-wise for Craig, he put him in there. I think Joe Mazzulla feels the same way. And he goes 2 for 2. It's the 2 threes. If he's a 3-and-D guy, say no more. That's all you literally need from a guy who's going to be your ninth guy, roughly off the bench, or not off the bench, but ninth guy in the rotation. I liked what I saw. He can switch. Obviously, that's important to this team. And he can hit the outside shot. So that's as a deep rotation guy, that's the most you can ask for. Also, he's dating Megan Thee Stallion. So added bonus, we might get her in the arena.
Well, apparently Scal's a big fan.
Come playoff time. Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. There's a lot of Megan Thee Stallion fans out there, including me. So
too.
We're all winners here. But like what I saw in the limited minutes, yeah, sure, you would have liked to see him play more, John, but I think they'll work him in.
He's got some swag to him too.
Dude,
he's a cool friggin' dude.
Yeah.
Just how he dresses, how he carries it. He's on the court there and he's holding court. You'd see him on the sideline and he's talking to those guys like he's been here for a while. There's a definite kind of vibe and attitude to him.
It's called aura.
Yeah. Swag.
It's aura, John. He's got aura kind of follows him. That's what he's got. That's how he landed Megan Thee Stallion, to be completely honest. But yeah, it's got good style. Bobby could probably take a couple pointers, maybe ditch the bucket. But yeah, good things.
Did somebody special knit that bucket hat for him, the last one? Because that was something.
It was like furry. I'm like, are we on Miami? That thing looks like a winter hat.
Here you go, Bobby. I made you a bucket hat. I know how much you love them. Like, that's what it felt like. Like grandma did it.
It looked like it was like there wasn't enough bucket to it, by the way, either.
It was more like a buck.
It was a buck. Yeah, it was a buck. It
was worth about a buck.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
We'll have a sit down.
Speaking of which, the
him, Torrey
bracket
Craig.
is coming, and we're going to need some suggestions. We're not there yet. Our bracket is coming.
March Madness bracket.
Yeah, for March Madness. We got to get it going. We got a couple of weeks.
Guardianisms.
And
I got
while
some
we're on the
merch coming
subject-
too.
Oh, yeah, and that is good. While we're on the subject of Torrey Craig, yeah. Do we think we'll sign somebody? I don't know. I think that's more likely yes, rather than spend any more money. But I'd love to see them. I'd love to see something else up their sleeve here. If you found something else that worked better, but I don't know. But I don't know in terms of that.
Something else. There's something else. Torrey Craig is there something else.
I'm saying if you have a 15 spot, I'd love it for a guy who could threaten minutes. I'm not saying you're not going to get much, but if you're going to bring in somebody who's literally just filling it for no reason, I don't see a point. Like, why do you need Drew Peterson? You actually don't need to sign anybody there. Just stay at 14 and call it a day.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Exactly it. So that's what they'll do. They have Craig. I mean, in the playoffs, they're gonna slash the rotation down even more as long as guys are healthy. So may not even see Craig in the playoffs at this, if guys are doing what they're supposed to do. Going to depend on Hauser's health and Horford and those guys. And if those guys can give you 25 minutes, then there's your answer. It doesn't matter what your 15th freaking guy is.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think you even bother with anybody, honestly. I don't think so. I don't think so. But I liked it. I liked that he was incorporated. I wish he was in there a little bit longer, but it's good to see him there. Plus, thanks, Will. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks, Will.
I do think
do you have an answer for this?
If you're not afraid,
we can't ban you, Tatum. You
no
mean
chance.
too much to the show.
You do mean a lot.
But there is one way to find out. $100.
You such an ass.
Is he trying to pay his way off the show?
Yes.
His peers.
He's such an ass. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
False.
Oh, God.
That would be so awkward.
Another Drew Hanlon client.
There you go.
Yeah, one who
Say no more.
He
that
did
would
not
be
help.
way too awkward.
Yeah, that's not going on the resume. That guy.
Yeah.
The clientele list doesn't make the cut.
I've always been a Markelle Fultz guy. I really like him, but he's terrible.
Yeah,
I like him.
Bad.
You like a challenge.
No, I like aspects of his game. And that year that he kind of started to figure things out a little bit, I think it was great. But he's still dealing with injuries, and he just can't shoot. And he's just unsigned, and he's just sitting there. It's just crazy and sad because he didn't live up to number one. But there was some aspect to his game. I actually thought he could get wherever he wanted on the floor. He just broke his brain broke with his shot, and that was it.
Yeah, kind of like Ben Simmons aspect to it a little bit there.
Well,
Banana
you
land.
actually got to want to shoot, which Ben does not. Just his whole just basketball arc is so bizarre. I can't wait for the 30-30 special on Ben Simmons to come out. That's going to be awesome.
Awesome is one word. How about this? You got another super chat here, John. I actually completely disagree with this. I even texted, I said, I like this camera angle. It's cool. It's a little bit different. It's like an all 22 overhead view of what's going on in the court. You can see plays develop. You can see how the Celtics are playing. If it's defensively, you can see how it's just interesting. It's something different that I don't mind the broadcast tossing to it from time to time. I don't want to stare at it for 48 minutes of basketball, but I thought it was cool. So you know what, Zach, appreciate the super chat, but I hope that they do not ban that new camera angle. That was cool. Any opinions from the Happy Days boys?
It was all right.
I mean,
It was cool.
you should have my answer, Jimmy.
I didn't. Oh, did I miss it?
No. What do you think I watched tonight?
What?
Not that.
Oh, you watched different.
Yeah.
A different one.
I mean,
I don't think I knew that.
Any
I think I
opportunity
forgot.
to to not watch the local. I opt for it. I'm sorry. Can't do it.
I sometimes I do
I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling with it.
I only do it because I like to get a national perspective. It's not like it's like the Tatum Brown argument. I'm not doing it to minimize the other guy. I'm doing it because I just want to see what the national guys think. What are they seeing out there? Who are they talk to? What's their perspective? So I didn't do that tonight, and I was rewarded because I enjoyed the camera angle on the local broadcast tonight. So there you go.
Yeah. Of course, I watched Severance. Yeah. Why are you sick of Doris Burke?
She can be.
It's I'm struggling with the local broadcast. I really have been. It's been really tough. It's been really, really tough. So yeah, I love Doris. I thought she was great today.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah.
I don't know what this means. Do you guys?
I do know it's a Rodney Dangerfield line from Caddyshack, but I don't know what it means in relation to us.
Okay. Well, we'll try to keep it fair on here.
Neil, if you explain yourself.
Yeah, with another super chat. No, I'm just kidding. We'll give you a 2 for 1 if you explain yourself, Neil.
We're gonna have to put Jimmy in timeout.
Ban.
No. I think Doris is great.
Temporary ban.
Doris is cool, man. Yeah, she sees the game well. I like Doris too.
I thought she's great. Anyway, so we talked about like how we feel about the team in general entering the break. Like, forget panic meter. It's stupid to break out a panic meter when they've been winning. I'm saying
calm meter.
From where you were at the peak of your panic, where are you now? You feel better about them?
I do. I feel better about them because so many of the guys that were so important last season are starting to look like they did last season. And I'm thinking specifically about Derek White and Tatum. They're not quite where they were, but they're looking a lot better.
Yeah, I mean,
was Jason, my man.
I'll say it was after after they just like kind of like did whatever they wanted to against the Knicks. I kind of got to the point where I just like threw up my hands and I was like, we really just can't care when they look really shitty because this is what they can look like. And I think it's just more the regular season. It's just the drag of the regular season. So I think, and again, this contradicts what I said a week ago. And I was like, well, I can only go by what I see. And what I see is an inconsistent team. And what I see is a team that doesn't look like the team from last year. They look closer to 2023. Some of that's still deep down inside me. I feel that way. But I also can see what this team's capable of when they just play connected and when they play a team that they just want to beat. And they actually are all on the same page. And like, hey, let's just go do our thing out there. So in that sense, I'm not panicking or I'm not where I was when I was kind of a little bit really down on this team. So all that to say, let's just get to the playoffs, and then we'll just go from there.
I know. That's kind of been this whole season, right? Like just get to
You don't want it to be, but it's like,
I know.
Okay,
it's hard not to be.
Well, that's why you need storylines and villains. So like, sometimes like, we have to be the villains,
Sure.
like sometimes somebody's you got to get some fire going because otherwise it's like, what are you going to do playing Miami and San Antonio and Jesus Christ, Philly coming back from the break? Paul George last I checked had 2 points tonight. Jesus.
What? I mean, you made a good point last show. Like, where are the rivalries?
No juice.
Yeah. Where are you getting up for right now? If you're the Celtics in the East, at least, because you're seeing those teams in the East more. You're gonna get them in the playoffs, and Miami's donezo, Philly's donezo. Orlando's been banged up, and there's never been a rivalry between that team. Anyways, Indy's been hot and cold. Milwaukee's there, but I don't know. To this point, not much. And then you've got New York, and they just
2 points.
And they just tooled on New York. So it's kind of like you're trying to, and then Cleveland. But I think one of the points was that Cleveland just doesn't, or at least not yet, hasn't really done it for you. And the Celtics looked good against them last game too. So we're trying to find ways to stay engaged here. And so, yeah, when they look like shit, you want to feel something about that. You don't want to just feel like it doesn't mean anything. But then they go out and they beat the Knicks, and you're just like, okay, I guess it didn't mean anything. So.
As far as this comment here with Rob fearing the Sixers, a lot of people have feared the Sixers. Look, this is what's weird, right, Jimmy? Between the Sixers, if the two teams you feared most entering the year were the Knicks and Philly, this should have been the spiciest year because East Coast basketball with those two teams that you have rivalries with would be awesome. But like Embiid just being injured and a baby, Paul George being an absolute dud, and Paul George did finish with 2 freaking points tonight. The day after he commented how challenging it was to play with Embiid. Tonight, Embiid sat and George went 1 for 7.
That's such a
for
Paul
2
George
points.
thing. Get on the podcast now. Go ahead and talk about it, Paul George.
Yeah,
Paul George, when his career is over, will anybody even know? Honestly,
I mean, he's a really good player, but the cliff comes for you, and so
done anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I know he had the knee injury and that kind of sidelined him for a little bit, but still, just kind of a whiff overall.
Who feared them? I will say this: I hate calling out people outside of Bobby who aren't currently on the show to defend themselves. Noah had the Sixers as her. Bobby will take shot. It doesn't matter here, there. The reason I'm comfortable saying it about Bobby is because he knows we'll say it right when he's here. In fact, we can't wait to say it when he's here. So it's okay. Louder. We're not hiding it. Noah did have the Sixers, I think, as her top team. Jimmy had the Knicks.
In the East, yes, I did. Yeah, I did have the Knicks.
Yeah.
But
there's no fear. There's no fear in the East. There's no fear. There's no fear.
The
It's
Knicks,
also why my
Knicks
panic meter
really...
my panic meter never ticked past the middle ever. I was just like, these assholes can lose if they do this, they'll lose. Like if they don't clean it up, this team will lose. But if they do, they won't. It's that simple. But when they keep showing that version of themselves, you're like, okay, if you roll this out, you did it Miami too. We've seen it. We saw it. You do this Miami a couple years ago. You just don't show up for the first 2 games of a series against a team that's good. Also a team like Cleveland that can knock down a bunch of threes and also has a shooting variance game or 2 in there. You're dead. You can't do that in the playoffs. Like you could because you could also play well and lose a game to teams like that. And so that possibility exists this year. It didn't exist last year. It really did not. They could have played almost anybody and played 3 bad games in a series and still probably won one of those bad games and still won the series. Mm-hmm. So it's a little different this year, little different, but I've still never really been panicked. It runs through Boston. There's no question about it. What do we think of our boy? You know what, Jimmy?
Thanks.
Remember last time also, we didn't really talk about him, and it's not, it's unfortunate, but KP had a ridiculous, I know he had the turnovers, but remember, we didn't get to see him in a unicorn versus the OG unicorn versus, they called it on the broadcast, unicorn versus the alien.
I like that.
Which is good, but like we didn't get to see that last time they played Wemby. No question. I mean, they weren't directly matched up on each other. There was a couple moments there. Kristaps had that nice little kind of, 7 pump
little
fake
footwork. Yeah.
But I mean, KP comes out on top in the freakishly tall, unicorn category tonight by a mile.
No,
yeah,
he was really good, and consistently good. Like you didn't feel as though he had like a great 5-minute stretch and then disappeared for the rest of the night. There was a steady diet of KP in this one, and they're going to need that. This team, they have to embrace the fact that the path they took to win the title last season is not going to be the path they got to take this year. And they're going to need some guys to frankly contribute more than they did a year ago. And Porzingis is at the top of that list. If they get in a situation where he's not on the floor, similar to what we saw last year in the playoffs, they're in trouble. But to his credit, he's given everyone the business. Everyone.
Yeah, he's such a presence.
Yeah.
Like even his shot blocking, I know no one's going to think first shot blocking, but this dude, he's coordinated. That's like, you wouldn't expect him to be as coordinated as he is, but he is. And great eye-hand coordination out there. Loved what I saw from him tonight. And yeah, you could tell he got up for this matchup. And I mentioned it off the beginning, like he wanted Wemby to know that, like, yeah, it might be his league someday, but not yet. Like you still gotta deal with me. You still gotta go through the Celtics. And there's a little run up to getting to that level. And I loved what I saw from Porzingis tonight. He ended up with a great lineup. He had 29 points. Is that what I saw for Porzingis tonight? So I said this recently too. I mean, he's playing the best basketball of his career. So right now, I mean, you might have Tatum and Porzingis both playing at the peak of their basketball careers, and it's no coincidence that it's coming against it's coming in games where you see them play like they did in New York, like they did tonight. Monday. These guys just look energized. They look healthy. They look ready to go. And we got Tatum right here. Speak of the devil.
Jason, after the Miami game, in your walk-off interview, you said that you specifically mentioned how you guys have been underperforming at home. Did those comments that you made kind of like fuel you guys like at the beginning of this game as well?
Yeah, I think so. And the last game before All-Star break is always mentally, I think, one of the toughest games of the year. Just it's a long season, been traveling a lot. Guys got plans for vacation with their families and things like that. So, in recent years, we've dropped this game a few times. So I thought it was really important the way that we started and made sure that we were just locked in throughout the game. For one, because it was before All-Star break, and then, because it was at home, and we need to do a better job of protecting home court.
Is that something where you guys are conscious of, the fans, they're here, they're the ones that are here regularly for you guys, and it hasn't been, you guys haven't really been performing well here. Are you conscious of, like, not just what your journey is and pursuing a championship, but what they're paying for and what they're paying to see?
Yeah. Obviously we value the fans and we value their support, and they bring it every single night, whether it's preseason, the league pass, or the playoffs, or the finals. And
talk.
We want to respect that.
John loves this.
We want to play well at home. We want to win. So it's not from a lack of effort or a lack.
This
of,
is a Gelso
wanting to do
special.
the right thing. Some of those losses came from after long road trips and things like that.
Do you respect the logo
for our sake and protecting home court?
Jason, what's it mean to play under the Shamrock?
Jason, Wemby's obviously a very unique defender, just with the amount of space he can take up with his wingspan and stuff. What's it like going up against a guy like that where, he can cross the court in 2 seconds?
What's lucky mean to you?
He presents a lot of challenges. Very versatile, moves his feet well, very active. So you just have to attack him or attack their defense with, the right spacing and, with a plan, essentially.
Joe talked about how fortunate you guys are to have two bigs that can space the floor on the court a lot of times. For you as a playmaker and as a scorer, how does that sort of change how you're able to navigate the court?
Are you the captain?
Yeah. A lot of things that I'm able to do on the court is because of the personnel that we have. That starting group, we got 5 guys that shoot, I guess, around 40% probably from the three. So, always being able to beat your man. Like at the end of the first quarter, Wemby came and helped, and, we had Al. So that's a luxury that we have. And even, maybe when Nene or Luke is out there, that may not be their strong suit, but they know what they're really good at, setting screens, being able to pass the ball, playing in the paint. Nene's great at offensive rebounding. So when those guys come in and maybe they aren't the best shooters, they're really good at other things.
Jason, if you guys talked about wanting to play well going into the break, now you guys hit the break winners of 3 straight. Is that something you guys talked about at all, or is that just go without saying?
The break is coming. You want to go into the break feeling well and playing some good basketball. I would say over the last 10 games or so, we've done that.
Man, these trolls are killing
Jason,
it
you
tonight.
found Torrey for
Damn.
his first 3 as a Celtic earlier. What can you say about his performance and just his first game being back from since December?
He integrated pretty well. Without, it ain't like we ain't had practice or anything like that. So kind of threw him in there on the fly. But, it's part of
Who's
being
this dude
professional,
again?
staying ready. And obviously he'll get better and more comfortable with us, and likewise as the season progresses.
It's like a ghost.
But, he gave us a spark off the bench, hit some threes, was active on the defensive end. That's what we expect from him.
Al said last week that he feels like Luke Cornett is partially responsible for kind of you guys getting back to your identity. And Joe was talking earlier about how he's
is that Bobby?
joy to this team. On the joy
That's
piece, like
Noah?
as a teammate, like what is that like? Like what does he bring and how does he help you guys?
Luke is one of the best teammates that you can have. Extremely selfless guy. Always talking, never has a bad day. Extremely funny. He's always cracking jokes. In some serious moments, like it could be during the middle of a game, in the locker room.
Bobby's about to shed a tear, y'all.
So obviously what he brings on the court, he's been playing extremely well lately.
That's my
being
Luke.
extremely physical, getting second and third chance offensive rebounds. The way he started that game in New York with, protecting the rim, just kind of set the tone for us. His ability to set and catch the ball in the seam and find the kick out. He just unlocked some things for us. That maybe other people don't notice, but he's a huge.
I know one guy who notices. We lose him? All right. Walk off on Luke.
Why not?
What's up, Bobby? Did you feed Noah that question?
She's been on the hunt for a Cornett story. I'll let her have it.
Wow. Is she stepping on your
She's jumping on the bandwagon. I've noticed, too, being around the beat, Jay King's strong on the bandwagon now, too. I think the Luke bandwagon, Luke Island's about to get very populated here over the next week or so.
Jimmy, merch.
I gotta ask Bobby, because I know
population one.
I know we joke about it, but like, what took so long? Like, Luke's been this version of a story for a while in terms of his personality, how lit up he is on the bench, how he's supportive regardless of his role when he plays, and he's been playing well for the majority of the season. So it's not like you're extremely late to the party if you're jumping on Luke right now. I'm just saying,
you're probably 5 years too late.
We joke about it because you're ridiculous and you just did it again. Because you always have to take it 12 steps farther than it needs to go. But Luke, being the actual story that he is, which is a great contributor, someone who's improved aspects of his game, and actually you value his minutes, has been a story all season long. And he's also been this super smart, funny, great guy for a really long time. So it's obvious they love him. It's strange that people would jump on this now. So yes, you're clearly an early adopter, but yeah.
Yeah, the numbers are coming around. You see the putback dunk tonight. That stuff flashes. And it's great when you get that, and it takes him to another level in terms of his impact when he's able to have 10 points or 10 rebounds, whatever those nights look like. But he's been doing, as you mentioned, John, these little impactful things, probably going back 2-3 years now. And obviously this year it's reached the highest level and most consistency we've seen in terms of the screening or the passing or the offensive rebounding, which I thought came along last year. And defensively, he's been solid for a long time in terms of preventing shots around the rim. So that stuff has been there for a while. It's the double-doubles and the physical putbacks. And, you keep hearing Joe, when he gets asked about him, talk about the physicality. For so long, I feel like that's what many fans didn't like about Luke, is he was more of a finesse than a physical player. And now you're seeing him bang a little bit inside, grab some offensive rebounds in traffic, dunk on guys, rejects shots more emphatically. And that's what people want to see out of a center. I've never cared about that stuff, and I think he's gotten a bad break. One, for the appearance and just what he looks like, and two, for the lack of physicality and the different style that he plays with. The skinny, perimeter game, Jimmy, just, if you want to throw White in there too, you can.
I like.
No, I think that's why fans didn't like him at first, and it took a long time for many of them to get on the bandwagon here. Is they didn't look like the banging, bruising center, Andre Drummond, whoever you want your center to be. he's just a different style of player. And the fact that he's doing some of those things now, you're not going to pass those up now that he's doing them. But his impact was in other areas for the longest time, and now he's bringing it all together. And that's, what we've talked about, John, is probably going to get him more attention in the free agency market this time around.
25 million.
What should he get? Yeah.
We'll put a number on it at the end of the year. We'll hold on.
He had 2 points, but that's
I didn't go there, John. You did.
That's
Noah
many
did,
million.
I guess.
Yeah, many million.
I was surprised we opened up this hit with Luke.
It just
I
happened.
couldn't help it.
We didn't
it just
mean
happened.
to. Yeah.
We were on a Noah question. We didn't do it. Noah did it.
You've infiltrated Noah's brain, and now she's asking Luke questions.
Yeah. We talked about.
Well, that answer was amazing by Horford the other day. Again, you got asked how they're playing in the first half, and he was just like, Luke Cornett's amazing. He sets the tone for us. And I was like, whoa.
Honestly, yeah, go ahead.
What I was going to say, I think Luke might be a little bit of a breath of fresh air for that locker room. When you talk about guys who maybe are a little bit on the quieter side, you can go down the line on guys who are on the quieter side when it comes to the Celtics team, starting at the top. And Luke is kind of a goofball, right? And he embraces it. He's in on the joke, right? He's seems to be the type of guy that can take a joke and give it. And I think having that attitude and having his personality on the team is helpful. It keeps it a little bit looser, and maybe when things aren't going the direction the team wants him to go, maybe he's able to help steer it in another direction by just being Luke. That's just Luke being Luke, baby.
Yeah, for sure. And you're seeing him in every game. It's a consistent presence. You can do those things, but if you're not playing, it doesn't hit as hard. And the fact that he can play and do some positive things and do that stuff, it's the perfect balance between those two roles of being, an effective third center and a locker room guy. And you're hearing it now when he does a little thing on the court here at home, Jimmy. You're hearing the woo from the crowd way up.
Yeah.
So
are you sure that's what they're saying?
Too.
They're not saying.
I'm almost certain. Boo. I remember when I did that hit with Joe Sway a couple of years ago. He was like, "Are you sure they were saying that?"
It's basically he's Scal, but like he has an actually good personality and he plays some. He's got like that fan favorite sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Like Scal was like a mascot when he played. Luke has that vibe to him of like get him in the game, but like now he's actually like doing stuff too.
No, and that's the interesting part too, John. Like. We'll see this summer. Is he going to stay here? Is he going to play his career here? The fact that he already passed up some money, as we talked about, to stay here, would he do that again? Like, is he going to keep playing here and doing this stuff for years to come? And then you're talking about, like, is he in the media around here after? Like, those are all things, I start to think about in terms of, like, could he be like a Scal-like figure around here, winning a championship, having that depth role, doing that sort of thing. Not to make that comparison directly, but it is amazing just how much he's grabbed fans' hearts. Because, again, he was not a player people were enamored with a couple of years ago. They were always trying to replace him. They were always trying to get a more bruising center in here. And, again, he's doing some of that stuff now. So I think that's endeared some people to him, too, that weren't maybe on that bandwagon before.
Speaking of the bandwagon, a lot of people jumping on the Torrey Craig bandwagon after he got some minutes in his first action. We weren't sure if he was going to play, Bobby. In fact, we kind of guessed that he might just stay out through the All-Star break, and then they'll practice a little bit, try to integrate him. I was happy he was active in this game, and then I was happy to see him, though I am, like we talked about it earlier, I think if he's going to get first quarter minutes, he's got to get more than 9, especially because he did a lot with
his
those
first stint was 90
minutes.
seconds.
Yeah,
he was out of there.
I don't get it, but then he knocked down a couple shots. But anyway, here he is in the locker room after the game, looking friggin' cool as F.
Does he? Another great outfit.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, the crowd, the fans. It's just a joy to play in front of a crowd like that. And yeah, man, I'm glad I made my debut in the Garden. I'm glad I hit my first shot.
Did you know you were going to go in at that point?
No, not really. But it's just part of the game, staying ready, being a professional, and coming in. And when you are called on, just do what you can.
When you first came out, it looked like Joe was walking me through some stuff you guys were talking there. What have those conversations been like in terms of catching up to what you guys are doing out there?
Just catching up on everything, trying to echo the right calls and catch up on a lot of the lingo, because a lot of the stuff is pretty simple, and I've been around a long time, so I've seen a lot of coverages, just getting the names familiar with everything and learning the lingo.
What's an example of something you have to kind of get used to that might be different?
That they might call something different on the ball screen. They might call it something else here. So just learn a different lingo.
How steep is the learning curve?
I mean, we're professionals. It should be that hard to figure out.
You just asked me that 3 times.
I kind of adjusted as I was out there. Kind of got picked up on a lot of things out there, and I'll continue to do that.
First game in quite a while for you. How are you feeling physically?
Good. I was actually in better shape than I thought I was going to be. And just getting the rhythm, flowing the game back, that'll come with more games being played. So just take this time off to keep prepping my body and be ready to come back.
It's moments there on the sideline where it looked like you were kind of explaining some things to some of the younger guys. Is that what was going on in that moment, and like what kind of leadership role are you already taking here?
I was just explaining something that I see in the game that I thought would help us, and just talking what I see out there and relaying it to the guys. That was it.
What was it like playing alongside Jason?
I mean, he's an amazing player, amazing talent. I think one of the most underrated parts of his game is his playmaking and his passing ability that's really picked up over the last few years, and you can see it out there. He's gonna figure it out, and he's a tough matchup for anyone.
You come in like fresh from another team. You've seen scouting reports on how to maybe stop some of these guys. Is that something that you share with, hey, we've seen this, this is how we've tried to stop you, this is how other teams might be trying to defend you?
Nah, not really. I don't really think it matters, because I think he's seen every different coverage before. I don't think there's anything that I did with another team that another team hasn't tried to do to defend him. So he's been around long enough where he's seen everything.
Damn.
First off, I will
he's
say
cool.
The Celtics needed to get cooler, and boy, did they get cooler there. Like,
mission accomplished.
Way cool. Like, there's some friggin' and there's a man, they got a lot cooler. I love that. But again, I think people are talking to him like, not talking to him, but the questions are funny. It's like, how did you do this? How'd you do that? He's like, I'm 34, guys. Like, I've played
I'm not new to
basketball.
this.
I play a lot of basketball. So it's not like new. I'm just, I'm 34 years old. I've played
Is he 34?
a lot. Yeah, he's been around for a bit. We'll bring in some other people here who are going to talk about how cool Torrey Craig is. How cool is Torrey Craig? That's all we really brought you guys on to talk about.
Yeah. What's he like? And like, what's his aura like?
What's he cool? What does he smell like?
Yeah.
I told you I'm a big fan of the outfits, but I'm a fan of the game too. And
is he a fan of your outfit?
Bobby will be wearing sunglasses on the next post-game show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't count
so
on
see
it
that.
from San Fran, but
yeah.
I like the game. And again, I was excited about this addition. This is a guy who, if they traded for, I would have been like, good move. And they got him on the buyout market. So you always limit your expectations if a guy like that's available. And I was starting to think, he missed the last couple of games. He's been out since December 30th. Is he just going to be out for the next month or whatever? And that's why they got him. So the fact that he got out there tonight, and he was pretty amped from the pregame locker room, getting out there to shoot. I know you were on the floor watching him warm up. Like he was pretty fired up to get out there and just feel this arena out and this team out. And that's what he did, right? He wasn't perfect. He hit the 2 shots, which was huge. And I think that could be some real momentum for him, because a lot of this, as you mentioned earlier, John, is shot making when it comes to the impact of a guy like this. But they needed more stability at this position. And this is what he brings. Like, it can't be Walsh, it looks like. It can't be Shireman, as we've seen. If Hauser has some trouble later in the season, or there's some other absences like the ones tonight. And he just gives them solid minutes at that position. And I believe in him to give them that, because he's been giving teams that his whole career. And now you see the shooting growth in a game like this too, that he's flashed the last 2-3 years. So this actually looks like, John, a move that, if they lose a guy come playoff time, plug this guy in for the 10, 12 minutes you need. I actually like him being able to impact them on a smaller level where they needed it the most at the deadline. So again, when they just dumped Springer, I didn't like the deadline. When they got this guy, who I've always liked, I felt much better about their deadline. It looks like he actually brings something to the table here.
Wing depth, you need it. It's just whether or not you're going to use it, right? Right. Noah?
No, yeah, I was going to say the same. I mean, the real challenge with this bench is that you didn't really have a guy that can hit a three besides for Pritchard and Hauser, obviously. But, Jordan, it was still not certain. I think Drew Peterson, Baylor Shireman, they haven't shown enough to make me think that they're going to play substantial minutes. And this is a guy that, yeah, he's not developmental, right? Like we've said a million times, he's 34 years old. He's been hitting threes his whole career. His shooting numbers over the last 2 seasons, it's a big enough sample that if you're a 39+% 3-point shooter now 3 years in a row, that's you can glean some insight into how he's going to be able to shoot this season. So it was just, I have more confidence that he's going to come in and hit a few than any of those other guys, just based off of what he's been able to do in his career. And he did seem really happy to be here. I will say it's the first time that I've seen a guy during warmups actually motion fans to throw them a ball in a pen, and he was signing stuff on the court and people were throwing them like shoes and things, and he was like totally encouraging it. So I'm sure they'll tell him to stop with that because I don't think that it's how they want them to sign stuff, but it was clear that he was like very much embracing the moment of being here, and fans were clamoring to get Torrey Craig autographs, which was kind of funny because like Tatum and Brown are right there, but I think they knew that their odds were a little bit higher with the new guy. But it was just cool to see how excited he is to be here too.
Like his game, the personality seems to fit too, I think.
He does have a different edge about him that the rest of the team has.
Yeah, but I think it's going to fit.
I don't know if it's the fit. Yeah, I think it'll be good, but it just, I like, there's a little bit of a different vibe from the rest of the bench players.
He's cool.
They're all
as
like
hell.
young.
Yeah, he's cool, and they're all dorks.
Hell.
Yeah.
And they don't have anyone that cool.
That was not what I was going to say, but I
There's
understand
nothing
where
wrong
you're
with
coming.
being dorks. Dorks are lovable, but like he's cool, man. Like I mean,
And again, to the point you made earlier there, John, about the adjusting to the system and all that, I only care about that. I think most of the reporters in there only care about that because that's like with Tillman a year ago, or maybe Craig now, going to be the reason Joe doesn't always go to him maybe. And again, 90-second stint off the bat, he's coming off the floor and Joe's motioning in every direction, and you see him trying to learn through some stuff, and obviously he downplayed it a little bit there. And Joe, even after the game, was like, it's not rocket science, we're going to rely on him. But you do start to see like, all right, if he makes a mistake here or there, he doesn't get something right away, are they going to roll with him? Are they going to stick with him? But I don't think they have a choice because there aren't other.
I think they're going to play him a little bit more than I expected.
Yeah.
Like when he initially signed, I was like, I don't really see this guy getting minutes. He's probably just insurance if something goes awry. Something about today, the way that Joe was handling it, and even his answer to your question about just kind of emphasizing that he's going to be important. Some of it's just speak of like
the team
wanting
really
to instill
likes him.
confidence in him. Yeah, I think the organization's excited about him. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being in the rotation in some capacity, even if it's not every single night. But
I mean, there's a guy who's in a finals rotation now, full health. If Hauser's rolling and Hauser,
what was that, 3 years ago?
rolling,
4 years ago?
Yeah, 2021. So it is a little bit of a while.
He had some
ago
good
now,
moments in
but
that series.
He's played better, even
Yeah.
since then. And the shooting numbers, you mentioned them. It's like 200 shots, John, over the last 3 years, 39, 40% from three. And most of them are wide open. So if teams are going to leave him open, he's hitting them at 39, 40%. When you look at the numbers of the last handful of years here now. So he's figured that out. Wasn't a strength of his early in his career, but it's a differentiator between him and some of the other guys off the bench here. And obviously, Simon got another opportunity tonight, didn't do much with it. Walsh probably isn't going to be a guy who's playing much down the stretch here. So this is his spot to run with. Let's call it like the O'Shea role from a year ago, where if someone else is out, he's going to bump up to that spot.
And the big difference is that he can shoot, and O'Shea couldn't really.
I think more than that.
I think that was inhibiting. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, no. I think O'Shea was never going to play in the playoffs. He was I'll use you in the regular season when guys are out or for an energy boost, but there was no path to minutes for him because he couldn't shoot.
Right. And I think Luke's the one guy on this team that they've accepted that he does so many things so well that the non-shooting is like surmountable almost. But I don't think that there's Luke. Like I think Luke is obviously not shooting threes, but he brings really clear value in these other ways. I don't think that they really view anybody else that can't shoot as like somebody that they can rely on in the playoffs. And even Luke, I don't know how it's going to look in the playoffs because obviously last year he didn't really play much in the playoffs. So still
I
an
still
open
can't
question.
believe how many fans tweet me and message me and say, "Why isn't Luke shooting threes?" It blows my mind how much people want.
Because it
him to
throws
start
people
shooting
off
threes
because he
again.
has the all-time record for most
I
three-pointers
know,
in
but he's playing
NCAA.
so well without it. After
Yeah, but it's just
changing his game.
confusing. It's still
What's the
confusing.
record?
He has the most three-pointers by a 7-footer in NCAA history in one career.
And he came into
Crazy
the league
stat.
as a guy
That's a
who
good
was
stat.
supposed to be a stretch big,
good
and
stat.
that's been the thing that has been kind of
He
like,
was.
wait a minute.
And now he's at the elbow and he's like not even looking at the basket. And I'm seeing him draining threes in warm-ups. He's still practicing them. So I understand the fixation on it. I'm a little fixated. I've just accepted the fact I'm never going to write the story that I want to write. But it is.
I've never understood it.
Oh, he got hurt. He
doesn't make sense,
kind of
though.
lost the form. He's a 29% guy now, and it doesn't make sense for him to take him.
No, it does. It
Yeah.
does. It makes sense.
You don't
It's
use
just
it.
whether or not he can do it. It makes
29%, John.
29% on
no,
how
Bobby.
many
It
times?
makes
4?
sense for him to get back to something he was once good at. It doesn't make sense to just abandon it and say, "Well, it's just not a thing he could do." If
He's
that was
shooting
an aspect,
60-70% at the rim.
I think it makes
So,
sense for the
is
team.
it
What he's
bad?
doing. Personally, I'm sure he wants
would
to
it
still
be
able
bad
to
if
shoot
he
in his
could
career.
shoot threes and shot them? That doesn't
Did
make
you want
sense.
Rob
It
shooting
would,
threes?
if he could.
Rob wasn't the NCAA leader in threes made or
Rob-
7-footer.
Bobby,
Luke
what are we
lost
talking about
the
here?
shot.
Bobby, like you like ice cream,
That's
right?
what confuses
Like, do
people,
you
though.
like
It's just
ice cream
weird
with
to people that
Hot
someone
Punch
can lose
too?
their
Like,
shot.
It's just it would be better, you know. Like
It's like Wemby.
good,
Okay,
but
Wemby
it
can
would
shoot
be
This
threes.
better.
conversation. So this, like everything about the whole Luke conversation blows my mind because they
We
hate
know.
that he didn't look like the banging, bruising center. He actually changed his game in that direction to great success. And now it's like, oh, why isn't he jacking threes again and playing at the 3-point line? I think his
I feel
game's
you.
fine where it's
I
at.
think it's less a critique of his game. What he's doing right now is perfectly effective. Probably nothing should change in his game. It still makes sense to me why fans are confused and curious about the storyline that he was once a shooter and then now he's not. Because can you think of another player that went from being
Plenty have full
Not
Two
really.
pieces,
all the way
guys.
down
I
to-
gotta
those
call
are
a
like-
timeout.
those are-
We,
Okay,
we have
fair.
to swap you out. We have a technical issue we're going to deal with right now, but we have two pieces of breaking news. One, Markelle Fultz, who oddly enough we were just talking about a minute ago.
No way.
Signed,
No
With
way.
his name and he signed.
signed with the King. Someone put him up there as a 15th man candidate, and I was lamenting how I was sad that his career went the way it went because I liked a lot about Markelle Fultz's game.
Who did he sign with?
He signed.
Now-
He signed
now-
with the Kings.
Now his
The other
career
piece of breaking
effectively
news.
over.
Stop, everyone.
The interrupting
Alex
that
Alex Bregman reportedly signs with the Red Sox, a
Wow.
3-year,
Oh, nice.
$120 million deal. For those about all
Somebody
things Boston
drugged
here,
John Henry and use his hand to sign that
I
contract?
think this one's funky. There's a report of opt-outs here.
Yeah, I saw
This
that.
feels to me like a 1-year deal that the Sox can get out of, but I don't have the details. I don't
Let's
have.
just
Whatever,
be
we'll
happy
take
that
it.
they signed the guy.
I don't have the details.
40 million.
Meanwhile,
Why not?
we're going to hear from Kristaps Porzingis right now, who also had a monster game in a battle of, as Doris put it, the unicorn versus the alien. He looked a lot better than his counterpart Wemby tonight. Here's Porzingis.
You posted up Wembanyama a couple of times, had to give him a bunch of up fakes. You probably don't feel like a guard a lot of the time. What was kind of going through your head as you're trying to score on him there?
No, man, the impact that he has on the defensive end, just with his wingspan and his length, is not historic. Like, we haven't seen this, no? So even me, I felt like I need to give him something to try to get the shot off. And yeah, he's just a special player. So I think we had a lot of drives, and that's maybe a partially how people feel around me, but with him I think it's at a different level. Drive in and you're just okay, boom, kick out and just keep playing. Yeah, special player.
You seemed really excited after you scored on the first one.
Yeah,
What was
for
going
sure.
through your head after that?
Just having fun. I thought that he hit me a little bit too. I was trying to get the foul, and then just a little fist bump to celebrate with the fans that I got one over Wemby, and just competing.
Do you take that matchup personally?
Yes.
Yeah?
No, of course. No, of course. There's no maybe playoffs get a bit more intense, and but it's yes, if it's make me compete better, it's just competition at the end, and but it's not one-on-one. At the end, it's 5-on-5, and just, you know, we had a game plan we wanted to do, and they had a game plan, and you know, that was it, just colliding. But he's a great talent. He's honestly an unbelievable talent. We tried to, you know, make him a little bit tired, and I think it worked towards the end. So he's you know, but he's going to be a force for a long time in this league, and I wish him all the best.
How much does the start of his career and some of the hype and just his game behind you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Bobby, we can freaking hear you.
Something maybe, yeah. Of course, like the outside game, the shooting, you know. But he's different. He's just longer. I think defensively, he's a different like stratosphere. But of course, you know, he's gonna go through like some learning too. Like he's going through it now, but he's already, I don't know, what is he averaging, like 24 a game or something? You know, incredible numbers already. 10 rebounds a game. I don't know, 3-4 blocks. Like it's just he's like in his second year. Like I was like way less advanced than him, you know, in my second year. So he's completely like different level, I would say. And the most important is that he stays healthy and keeps like improving at this rate, and the sky's the limit for him.
Take us through that over-the-shoulder pass that you threw that set up the Sam 3.
That was incredible.
That one? Not bad. I like that one too. I would have liked it. It was like maybe half a second quicker. It would have looked even better. But yeah, that was just, I don't know. I just felt that
he was calling out a lot of flashy moves
all the time. He was helping, you know. So I knew Al would be open, and then Al made the next read, kicked it to Sam. Sam made it a highlight, because if he missed, then it would have been whatever. But he actually made the shot. It was perfect, and yeah, just, you know, we're just playing free and having fun.
When you guys were struggling a little bit, you were kind of the consistent voice of it's going to be all right kind of reason. This is 7 of 8 now. What have you seen during this stretch that's kind of back to the way you guys need to be playing?
Yeah, I think much better. Which one we lose? We lost against Dallas. No, Dallas had a crazy game. Clay and these guys. Clay had a crazy game, and we should have won that one too. You know, I think we finished heading into the break really well. I think we're still experiencing it a little bit, but not as much anymore. That like people are going off against us, you know, having career highs in threes or whatever. So, you know, I think the luck is starting to turn our way, and that's it. We just got to stay with it. And I think, as I said before, I want to speak it into existence that we're gonna like peak at the right moment, and we're gonna hit our stride and just look like a team that's gonna win it all again.
What did you see from Torrey? What did you see from Torrey Craig in his first game?
Yeah, he was excellent, honestly. Yeah, I mean, he's going to bring energy. He hit a couple shots. He looked comfortable out there. And, yeah, we want him to be engaged like he is. He's talking. He's communicative from day one. And, yeah, good vet presence. He's older than I thought. I thought he was, like, younger than me. He's a little bit older, huh? So he's you know, he's a good voice to have in the locker room for sure. Just a good personality to have around.
So that is Kristaps Porzingis,
He's the best.
And that is Bobby Manning and Noah at the Garden. And he hit it. He hit on it, guys. And Noah, we hit on this a little earlier in the show, and we were talking about it a little last game too. He mentioned 7 of 8 and trending in the right direction. And I think more importantly, stacking together more clean and complete performances where we're not questioning effort. You might question execution from time to time or a lapse or two, but like start to finish, the games have looked overall better. Obviously, you have like a couple signature wins, and you know, the big blowout over the Knicks makes you feel really good too. But are you all the way? Have you guys tossed the 6 weeks of blah, you know, like one on, one off, just kind of icky, not great play? Are they all the way past it? And you think it's purged from their system, or, you know, is a relapse possible? Or you feel like they've kind of flipped that switch, turned that corner, and they're a little bit more serious about their business?
I feel pretty much like it's in the past. I mean, you knew there was going to be a stretch this season where they were playing less than consistent basketball, and that came I think a little bit earlier than I expected, but it's almost better if it comes in December rather than after the All-Star break, and then those habits kind of spill right into the playoffs. Obviously, a 2-week stretch of good basketball or 3-week stretch of good basketball doesn't guarantee that you're not going to have issues later in the season. But the fact is that when they've had big games, for the most part, they've gotten up for them and they've put together really good performances, even if they haven't been perfect, like you said, like between the Cleveland game, the Knicks game, like it seems like when the lights have been brighter and when there's been more energy and excitement around these matchups, we've seen a real championship-looking team. And then there have been like the more lackluster games. That's how at one point, like a week ago, they had a better record against plus 500 teams than below 500 teams. It just kind of captures like some of the issues. So I feel pretty good about them right now, honestly. Like I don't have too many concerns. I think this is kind of where I expected them to be heading into the All-Star break. If you'd asked me preseason, like what the record would be, this is right around where I had them.
Yeah, no, and I've been in a similar place. And watching this game tonight, Monday could have let down against no Hero, no Jimmy, no whoever with the Heat there. They didn't do it there. Tonight, this is a team that could have hurt you, that could have challenged you. I actually thought this was going to be a pretty competitive game, and it wasn't. And they just built on it. And then the one stretch I look at there where I got concerned is they played Tatum the whole third. I obviously was on minutes watch, minutes police the last couple games here, and they had to survive 5 minutes with him off the floor at the start of the fourth. No Brown, obviously, 2 in this game, and they won that stretch 12-10. So that's encouraging. I was thinking about what Porzingis said there too, the shooters going off against them, who they're leaving open. When they were Julian Champagny shots in this game, and he was missing them away from their coverages, I was like, all right, that's something that was going different a couple weeks ago too, and it helps when those guys aren't hitting those shots. I'll actually give them that. And a lot of things are starting to go their direction now again, and the effort, the focus seems to be there too. And 2 starters missing a game like this and them winning handily is something that they would do routinely last year.
And I think 2 guys that to me turned a corner pretty clearly are Derek White and Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser earlier in the season really just didn't have his shooting touch. And if you look now at his numbers, again, he's above 40%. We talked about this earlier in the season. I'm obsessed with that stat that he's never shot below 40% in a season, any level of basketball that he's played that's recorded. And once again, he's above that. And I think you needed him to turn the corner because he is so important, as we've talked about so many times. And then Derek White, like his shooting splits haven't been great every single game, but he has that swag back.
Total control.
Yeah, he has that swag back. He has that confidence. To me, it's the shots that he's pulling up for.
The charge he took on Wembanyama was big.
There's just so many moments over these past few weeks where it's like I feel like Derek White is back to the player that was so integral to their championship run last year.
His struggles were a big part of their struggles over those weeks.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, an underrated component, honestly, because they do kind of go with those.
Yeah. So, guys, again, I'll bring it to you because this is where it began. I'll ask you a question. Where do you think the chat's mind was at to start this game? What do you think the primary comment was?
Trade Jaylen Brown.
Bingo. Better without JB.
I know you guys. This one, unfortunately.
Clip that now, John.
I did not start. I did none of it. All I'm saying is,
how can you trade him when he's the captain?
Come on, Bobby, play along.
Oh, I'm not the captain thing.
No, what captain?
What?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's.
Yeah, I know.
What's your point,
Everyone's
John?
afraid. No one will ask. My point is, this is now yet another game where we keep talking about it. What if Joe gets mad? Where we're talking about them having not a full roster and getting the best out of a lot of players. It is interesting. Once again, a really great version of KP. Derek White playing with swagger again. Jason Tatum looking like he's in total control. Top 5 Tatum playing, without, not sped up at all. All of these different things going on here. Opportunities for Torrey Craig to come in the game. And again, you're down a couple of players.
Come on, don't
here.
Putting Torrey Craig in the game is a benefit.
It is a benefit. Because otherwise you're not going to play somebody if you don't have if there's no opportunity, he's not going to play. But the other things is, once again, you've got players playing well and more freely with less. And we're back to that, figuring out how to, once again, relearning how to play with all of your pieces.
We've had this same conversation for 5
years. But they did it again.
And we're going to just keep having it forever. And there's 3 components to it, John, obviously, is that you have to balance the Brown and Tatum touches and minutes and all those different things we've talked about this year. They don't play off each other naturally. And sometimes one's rolling and one's just standing off to the side. And that's just part of the dynamic between those two. But You got Tatum playing great this year. You have Brown playing not as well. We were there early last year and asking these questions and saying, oh, is it going to work? And what's his role in this whole dynamic? And then he goes out and goes on that defensive charge, has the great finish to the season, is a pretty clear number 2 playing in perfect tandem with Tatum for a lot of the finish of that year, and then had the postseason he had. So we're just going to keep doing this forever because it's not natural. It's not perfect and seamless the way those two play off each other. And I texted you, John, it blew my mind when we're talking about like 11 passes between those two per game, and Luka and LeBron go and have 27 in their first game ever together. So a lot of this stuff always blows my mind and frustrates me and you, John, and everybody sometimes, the dynamic, how they can't always play in tandem and you're taking turns and one can have a good game and one can't. But the dynamic won the championship a year ago, and I think they're going to figure it out when the time comes. I think Brown's going to play better later in the season. Who knows how banged up he's been, the fact that he's missed 2 games here and shoulder at a different point and just all these different lapses throughout the year that we've talked about with him. So he needs to play better in the second half. But we've just had this conversation too many times for me to sit here and go, oh, is it going to work? Can they play together? Blah, 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 that we've done just too many times here. They're going to play together, John. They're going to keep these guys together, even with the tax stuff, even with all the stuff coming up the pike here. Like, they're going to figure out a way to keep these two together and play into the future however they can around these guys. I'm 1,000% convinced of that.
1,000%? Oh, wow.
I like that monologue, Bobby. I mostly agree with everything you said. I think the one thing I'll add, and kind of going off of what you said, like, I do think that he has been more injured than maybe people realize.
And he hasn't played well this year.
He hasn't played well, but I think there's an element of like, he's just not as explosive as he was last year. Like, people try to think about like the trademark dunks that he hasn't had compared to previous years.
Been there.
Yeah, and I think them shutting him down for these last 2 games, that's not just one rest game. Tatum didn't take any rest games. I do think that maybe the week off will help. Week plus 2 weeks, whatever it ends up being. But the main thing is that he's been better in the playoffs than the regular season for the most part. Like, he's elevated his game in big moments. And I think there is this dynamic where they are better when they're down a starter or two. It's not just Jalen now. It's Drew was out as well. And last year I felt like whoever was out, they were better when a guy was sitting, and the numbers kind of matched up with that as well. It's just different in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, everything is schemed so much more. There's so much more game planning, and the more weapons you have, the better. Like, you're better off having Jalen Brown than Sam Hauser on the floor in the playoffs compared to during the regular season, where maybe Sam Hauser gets loose and gets a bunch of open looks. Like, I think that there's a regular season component where maybe they'd actually be better off if they were always down a starter or two and just everybody's playing a little bit more free and padding their stats and everything. And actually, San Antonio Spurs head coach today said something pregame that kind of resonated with me. He said that when he was a player, he remembered coaches trying to tell him what to do. And the reality is players are always going to be looking out for their own numbers, their own stats, and they're trying to be convinced the entire year to just care about one thing, and that's winning the championship or kind of being towards this ultimate goal. And I think you see that more during the regular season, where even if guys want to be selfless and they want to, just work towards the common thing, there is more ego during the regular season for their own stats. They want to make All-Star. They want to make All-NBA. I don't know if that's, I'm not pointing fingers to any one guy, but I think that is a dynamic when you're balancing talent that guys do kind of want theirs. It does get a little bit subdued in the playoffs when really you just want to survive and advance. So I think this conversation maybe makes sense now because people are looking at the short term against kind of 500 teams like the Spurs. They've looked so good without Jalen Brown. But when it comes to the playoffs and you're playing against the best teams in the league, you're going to want everything you have. And nobody's going to be wishing that Jalen wasn't on the floor.
I know, but that's the reason this is a dumb conversation to have is we're not saying eliminate Jalen Brown and the Celtics, not we. Nobody's saying eliminate Jalen Brown and the Celtics will magically be better. That's silly. It's really always been a matter of, looking behind and looking ahead. Is this always been the best fit with these two together in the roster construction? You can't argue with a championship, so you can just put that to bed from last year. They won. Absolutely. But the question's always been... And
even the Durant stuff, which I was in favor of, John.
Yeah, the question with him has always been, would you be better with a collection of lesser players and assets or a different type of player who plays a different position? That's the conversation. And it's not worth having now because he's not going anywhere. And
you know who just made that decision, John?
Yeah.
The Mavericks.
Yeah. He's not going anywhere. And also, of course, you're better with him, and you need him to win a title. It's not like subtracting Jaylen Brown makes them a better team. And I think
genuinely there are people that think that, though.
I don't think they think that. What I think they see is, look, here's another. Back in the Kyrie final year, when he sat, you got better versions of Terry Rozier and the younger players, and they looked good. And sometimes they'd impress you with a good win or two. But the splits, were not great with Kyrie not playing versus whatever, and the on-off numbers. They needed him. They needed him there, but. You saw other people blossom when he wasn't on the court. And so you felt like, oh, well, but it's not true. Like, the reality was they needed Kyrie Irving there. Everything was a mess and the roster construction wasn't great. You needed to rearrange things, but you need Jaylen Brown. You're not just saying like sit Jaylen and it's better.
No, it's a real question for this year.
That's a silly convo. Of course you need Jaylen Brown. And of course in the playoffs, I agree with Noah 100%. You put everything aside to survive in advance, of course.
I wrote that in my piece yesterday because I do find the rotation thing continuously interesting this year. I think it's probably the most interesting story of the season, how they continue to navigate that. And, Brown goes down, Tatum's able to play the full third the last 3 games. It just gets him on a complete inferno where obviously him playing these extended stretches just allows him to gain rhythm and, he's in full control of the offense, and he's just going into the break playing the best basketball of his season. And so that is where you start to ask the question of how do you make this work? How do you make this fit? Because the change to playing Brown the full first quarter and taking Tatum out again and balancing their minutes didn't work great. And I think that became part of the unevenness of their play through that stretch of games too. So once Brown comes back, they do have to figure that out. Brown set a screen for Tatum a couple of games ago, and it was like seeing the moon move in front of the sun. I couldn't believe it. So all those things are still there. They're always going to have to figure them out. They're always going to have to continue to really be concerted about how they play off each other and how they balance touches and all of that. I do wish sometimes it was less my turn, your turn. So all that's valid, John, but
And again, I want to
20,
apologize
25
to
best
Kes,
players in the
who
league.
just jumped in here. I didn't start this, Kes. I'm just simply saying the chat
Yes,
went
you
there.
did.
No, I didn't, Bobby.
Okay, the chat
I
did.
didn't start this any more than you got Luke to talk about, than you got Al to talk about Luke yesterday. It just happened organically. I did nothing. I did nothing.
I made everybody talk about Luke today. That was on me.
Yes, you did,
Yeah,
Noah.
where did that come from?
I'm doing a Luke story.
Did you get permission from Bobby?
I know. I could feel Bobby wondering why I didn't ask him for permission.
Yeah.
If you need any quotes, Bobby probably has them.
Listen, everybody, they're not. I won't say 100% because it's a different cap dynamic. It's a different league now. I don't think they're trading Brown.
I think the only reason they would trade him is if they got any inklings that he wasn't bought into another year with this dynamic of the 1A, 1B, whatever it is. When I was talking to him about the Luka.
Yeah, they absolutely might trade him. They absolutely might trade. You have no idea.
It would be a bad move if they did.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, but you can't say that. You can't say that. It's just I hate having this conversation after they've won 7 of 8 and they're the championship favorites. It's silly because it seems like we're trying to will it into existence and we're not. But you can't say that. You're going to look at every piece. You're going to look at every piece and say, what gets me most value? If you're getting no return on dumping $30 million contracts of Porzingis and Holiday, you'll look to get a massive return on dumping Jaylen because the money's got to go somewhere. So you're going to try to get as much back as you can. So if you're getting nothing on the other guys, you might have no choice. It's not a matter of making better. It's a matter of making a decision you might have to make whether you like it or not. So it would be ownership.
Yeah, if the new ownership wants to blow it up and become another team that gave up on their core too soon, then they can join that company. There's a lot of them around the NBA right now. Watching the Wolves.
Old ownership.
If there is new ownership.
I'm saying if the old guys stuck around, they would have done it too. So it's not the new guys. Any owners would not tolerate what the Celtics are going to pay. That's a fact. So something weird is going to happen. Has to. So it's not new or old. Yeah.
This summer, would you trade him for Durant?
I don't want to trade anybody. I want to keep the team together. I like these guys. Let them play. But something's going to give.
I just think it's worth noting that if they win the championship this year, they'd be the first team since the Durant Warriors to go back-to-back. you do everything you can to bring as many people back as possible, because that is so rare and unusual to be able to do that. And so many moves look good on paper, and they pretty much 80-90% of the time don't meet expectations. That's just the nature of NBA basketball trades. That in the offseason, you're like, oh, this new core is going to be awesome. Usually they suck. You think about the Phoenix Suns.
Specifically trading a star for lesser pieces.
Or just blowing up. Like I'm looking at the Wolves, and they're like fighting for the playoffs, and they had something special last year, and they tried to duck some penalties, and they tried to get creative, and now they don't have something special anymore. And it's just, you see it all the time in the NBA and the WNBA. It's like, you just have to hold on to when you have something. This is once in a generation that you have a team like this that is truly in the contention for a championship 5 years in a row now, or whatever many years you want to say that they've really been in the mix. And so
and it might cost you Holiday.
You do everything you can.
Yeah, it might cost you some of your other
What's
key
up,
role
Ian?
guys, but
We've seen it though. Teams have no choice but to break it up.
But it
It's
ends
not
up
saying
being a
that they
bad
wanna-
move, Jimmy.
What's your definition of a bad move?
That's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
point. Like, you can't live in fantasy land. You do it knowing it's bad, because you're just simply not going to pay $500 million for a team. No one is going to do it. It doesn't
get
matter.
rid of other players on the roster.
The richest owner in the NBA by far did it this year to avoid tax penalties. Ballmer. It's not the new and the old owners. Any owner is not paying it. It's just a
What
reality.
did Ballmer do? What are you referring to?
With the George, like they had to
Paul
get out of a
George.
contract. Paul George.
Oh, I think that was maybe more foresight into that contract than just trying to shed salary.
Of the money, they express it. They expressly said it. Like, teams are going to avoid this. It's
money.
Yeah, there's never been a team this expensive. No one's paying $500 million, even if they win a title. In fact, if you pay a title, you feel like you've probably bought a lot of goodwill to be able to take a step back and not piss people off. So, like, it's a real conversation it's going to have. I'd be stunned if they can retain this roster for another year.
No, they're not gonna.
Not the whole roster,
Yeah.
but I mean Tatum and Brown. That's
Yeah.
been the centerpiece of this roster now.
No,
Like-
I think you're looking at the role guys, and
But let me ask
some
you
of the
guys
other
this.
expensive
I think
contracts.
we're
And I
looking at
understand
them. I
that
think
Tatum-
they're looking at everything.
I understand
for
that
sure.
Tatum and Brown are better now than they were a couple years ago. But the whole reason they had to build this roster around them is because Tatum and Brown needed that help. They needed Holiday to come in. They need Porzingis. They need Derek White to turn into this all-star caliber type player. Now you're going to get rid of them just to keep Tatum and Brown. You're going to be in the same position you were before you brought all those other guys in and those pieces in.
Can't
So
believe
that's
we're doing this.
That's what
That's
John
part of
I
the
think,
process.
is talking about.
And when you have two guys in the mid-20s who are signed long-term, maybe you do take a step back and have to figure it out.
Yeah,
into
and you take the
future
step back with the
drafting
core.
and other stuff.
And that's when Pritchard becomes an all-star. So now you have your third all-star that you wanted. You know, other
And
things
Luke,
are going to
$20
shake out
million
here.
for Luke. You gotta clear out money to pay
Don't
Luke
forget 20 mil for Luke.
It's going to be, like Noah
gonna be a
said,
problem.
if
It's
they
gonna
win
be
the
a problem.
championship, it's a whole different conversation. And we'll just see what's available out there this summer. Is Durant available again? Is there other options that would actually intrigue you? But just in a vacuum and where we're sitting right now, it's really hard to imagine a lot of this stuff and what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
So
People in the chat
my head,
surprised we're having this conversation, but we literally had two Luke
They-
segments on this show, and he
No,
scored 2 points tonight.
the
So
conversation-
it's not
The
that
beauty of the
crazy.
show,
I could have
everybody.
picked a different night for Luke questions. I didn't realize you only scored 2 points.
the
We did
conversation is
two- we did
ownership.
2 Luke segments on the show.
The conversation's ownership and the massive, unprecedented salary for next year coming up.
And it's hard
those
because we
are
don't
real
know who's going to be
We
at the
don't know.
helm too. We have no
Yeah.
idea. And clearly,
John's
bad
saying it doesn't
ownership of
matter.
late has ruined.
I
teams,
like I
so.
said, if it was Irv and Wick, they would do something too. They wouldn't want to, but they sold it to not have to do it. I mean, basically,
That
so
might
like,
be
it's like
that might be why they did it.
Bob Myers vibes.
They
You know?
signed guys into their own demise.
I gotta go. Right.
Yeah. It's like skipping out on the tab. Like they literally went out to dinner, bought everything, and now they're just gonna sneak out.
Bobby, let's do this. Bobby, what's the talk radio Jaylen Brown conversation going to be tomorrow?
Is it gonna be the captain?
Nope.
What's it gonna
Gonna
be?
be his new
Better without
sneakers?
him?
If he's
Jimmy
injured,
Fallon.
why is he playing in the All-Star game? That's your
I
topic
did have that
tomorrow.
thought. I did have that, but
It's coming.
I thought about that earlier today too.
It's coming.
Maybe he'll just be there and run up
I'll
and
tell
down
you
the
why
floor
he'll
a couple
play
times.
because it's not even a game.
Yep.
There's literally Kevin Hart running around the court cracking jokes while these guys throw lobs up to each other. It's going to be
Bobby and Noah. What is the origin of the expression "jump the shark"?
God, there's no.
I never heard that expression until right now.
I don't know the origin, but I do know
That
what
checks
it means.
out actually.
That's all right. The
shark.
boomers in the chat knew it. It's really old. But yes, the All-Star game is an absolute joke with that. So him going there has nothing to do with anything. I'm just saying.
And you know what?
This is going to be the conversation. Brown should take the weekend off.
Mm-hmm.
It's an absolute joke, but please follow along as we go out there and cover.
I know
That's
this
true.
is really setting up the stage for our trip for the All-Star weekend.
Yeah,
That's
you
true.
just had
We
it.
got the 3-point contest is still even though
Which Pritchard or Hauser should have been in for our own personal entertainment.
Why
My
did
vote-
Pritchard turn it down? Why did Pritchard say Pritchard alluded to having been spoken to, but it didn't happen? What's the deal? Did he have better plans? He's got to go drop
think he just
91 at a
wanted
YMCA
vacation.
or something. Yeah,
He loves the beach.
Yeah, it was funny. Bobby asked him at shoot around the other day, like, you love basketball, like I'm sure it's hard for you to like take a break, and he was like, nah, like I'm ready to go on vacation, like I'm just a normal guy. Like it was a funny answer, but he clearly, I don't think he was interested in going all the way to All-Star just for the 3-point contest. I think you kind of got to get like the All-Stars that are competing on Sunday and try to get the best shooters there and maybe like 2 or 3 other guys, because to go all the way there for that, I wouldn't do it honestly if I were an
I'm
NBA player.
bummed about how far the event's fallen. It's
It
crazy.
doesn't have that same prestige. I used to love the skills challenge. Remember they used to have all the point guards?
I know. Now Scotty Barnes
As a
is
kid,
shooting
I was like
lefty
locked
in it.
into the skills challenge.
yeah.
Noah's too good for the
It's-
3-point challenge. That's what you would deny.
Maybe
him.
No,
our
I mean I would do it, but if I was Pritchard and I like have something literally all year and I want to like see my family, I'd probably. I mean, I guess I kind of follow the team around all year too, but
Maybe our expectations are so low that they'll surprise us. But
Is Grant
Yeah, I don't
Williams
think
going to
any
be
of us-
there as vice president of the?
He's gonna be there. No, he's there as Tatum's limo driver for the weekend.
I always love when Grant's just there, kind of like, palling it up with the guys. But yeah, anyway,
yeah.
shout out to Grant. I think he just started walking again after the injury there. So want to see him back.
That's so depressing.
Yeah, that's tough.
that's so
Glad to hear it.
Grant's walking again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why it just sounded so much worse.
I wish him the best.
Me too.
Well, I got
Bounces
guys-
back from ACL injuries well.
So
As
we'll
John
let you-
knows.
No one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll let
Infamously.
you know. We will let you know. We'll do a lot more coverage. As we said, those guys are going out. So we'll have more stuff in and around the game with Noah and Bobby out there. So look forward to more CLNS coverage. But Jimmy might hit the beach. Sherrod deserves a little time off, but expect to hear
I'm hitting
from
the
those guys.
mountains.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Nice.
But not till
I'm hitting
Monday.
Slopes.
Where are you going, Jimmy?
I'll be coming back Monday. I'm going to Killington.
Nice.
And I just found
Nice.
out they're supposed to get like 18 inches of snow this weekend. So we'll see.
Nice. I'm going on Monday.
We'll see.
Should be fun.
To where?
All right. Thank you. I'm going to Burke, and then I'm going to Stowe.
Oh, nice. A little family
Nice.
fun action up there.
Yeah. To get the kids out there. Anyway, thank
Bobby,
you guys
got your
again
outfits
for-
picked out?
I'm working on. I'm gonna go pick now. I'm flying in the morning. So
What's your
We got to
SF
let
vibe?
these guys go. We got to
Yeah,
let
he'll
Bobby
be on
go. He's
Torrey
getting-
Craig's Instagram, checking out, see what he can find for stuff.
All right,
Inspiration.
We'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. First half of the season, unofficial half in the books. Celtics enter the All-Star break 39-16. They were 43-12 last year, 4 games off the pace. But again, nothing to finishing on a high note, going 7 of 8 of their last 8 here, beating the Spurs 116-103 for Noah, Bobby, Sherrod, and Jimmy. We will see you later. No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to
Same.
feel that
Same.
way.
Yeah.
Let's fly out over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We are not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke